So do we start, or Dhanush will, Planotech will open and then I take over. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Good morning. 1 second, sir. 1 second.
Yeah.
A very good afternoon for one and all present here with us this afternoon with a special guest on our webinar platform. We're back again with crafting transformative information on a topic, life of an artist. And before we get into it, what is our media house consist of? Planetech is a media house that has a reliable source of news, information, and articles. We also provide portfolios of different audience to understand the vast and diverse news. Our media house thrive on a change and innovative crafting transformative experience. Our supportive update about the business markets, economy encourages entrepreneurs, startups, and an artist. We're back again here with a remarkable artist who is Vikram Sridhar, who is an classic performer, who's a storyteller, theater practitioner, and a TEDx speaker, festival curator. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Dhanush. Thanks to Planotech for creating a space for sharing. Hi, my name is Vikram Sridhar. And what do we talk about? Of course, I'm going to talk about stories and where I come from, today I'm an artist who only tells stories 24/7. Okay. So where do we start? Where do we start? We should go back long in time. So I'm going to tell you the story of somebody who was born. So long ago, when there was the 1980s, it was not 2000s, it was not 1990s, it was 1980s, in a hospital was born a baby. And when the baby was born, the baby was only 4.5 kilos. And that's when everybody was looking at the baby and said, my God, look at the baby is like a laddu. And they came and they started cuddling that baby. And when they cuddled that baby, the baby cried in a very loud voice or laughed in a very loud voice. And they said, my God, how is this? Because this baby is making everybody scared like the Betal. And somewhere there, I got my name as Vikram, without knowing that Vikram will be telling stories for a living as the years passes. Born in the 1980s, growing up in Chennai, I spent my caterpillar time in the busy streets of Chennai, in the hub of what is called T Nagar. a lovely school, a lovely parenting. And my parents thought if it was a boy, they would be a sports person. If it's a girl, it will be arts and music. But then both of them were boys, so they put both of us in tennis. And we grew up playing tennis. And everything has a story. So the story of the tennis player in me was not long, but my brother became a Davis Cupper and he played for the country. He became India number one and all that. But I continued studying like every South Indian tick mark, good student, and not the student who is a topper, neither the student who is not doing good in studies. So I did everything well. And the one thing I really knew then, and I think even now, is how to pass exams. And I passed all exams completely. I mean, it could be 60, 70, sometimes 90, sometimes 100 also, but I will pass. And that's something what our education system teaches all of us, how to pass exams. And I did that brilliantly. And as time went past, ambitions, career, and interest. Of course, there was interest. I had a lot of interest even while growing up, and two different things, especially. One was volunteering, and the second was working with animals and birds. And during school, I used to volunteer with anything that to do with old age homes, children's homes, cancer institutes. I used to go with the school wherever we went. We used to go. I used to be the first one to volunteer, and I used to sing with the children, dance with the children. But one thing I definitely knew is making them laugh, because the laughter I think is the best medium for giving it to a child, because that's something a child should never miss. And I used to make children laugh without knowing that. That was called drama, that is called nautanki, that is called storytelling. And ninth standard, 10th standard, and then of course comes the most important thing in life at that time. Now, of course, we can say no, 10th standard is not important, but then 10th standard came, finished, and then 12th finished. Unfortunately, I did well in 12th. I got about 95%. So South Indian 95%, the only option you have, or the most popular option, this is not in now, it's about 15 years back, is engineering. So tick mark school, tick mark good grade, tick mark engineering, and then which department? I did the most safest department, which is called mechanical engineering. But trust me, I can't even fix a car tire at all. I have a car license, but I don't drive car. And that's a mechanical engineer that did well, but I did top the department once or twice. So I am that way theoretically. I had a state rank in my subjects. So I did well in subjects. I did well in all my studies in school and college. And time went past. And during college, the one thing I didn't stop doing was doing that one thing which I love to do. And I used to go every Sunday and go and volunteer. I used to volunteer in a place where it's a rescue center for animals and birds, which is called Blue Cross. So three things which I always believe in, I always did. One was what I used to work with wildlife. I used to work with uh, social spaces, and that is when I was introduced to theater, the world of theater. A classmate of mine took me to an English play, and I loved it. So from that day onwards, I saw a play every day. I used to, because I stayed in an area which was the hub of Chennai for a lot of cultural activities. So, and there was what is called Sabha culture. So they used to have different language plays from Tamil, English, dance, drama, different forms of drama. So I used to go and watch, and I watched a lot. And I believe that a good audience is first, and then a good artist. An artist cannot be good if they don't watch or consume. And I did that. I never thought that's going to enter my life. So engineering, and after engineering, job, the next tick mark. I did my management. I did my management, and I did my management in IIT Madras, and MBA tick mark. And all the good tick marks happened. And then the most important tick mark was job. And that is when a little bit of life changed for me. So when I was doing my masters, I was doing my MBA. That's when, from an audience who's watching theater, I got into performance. But till now, I did perform. In school, I've done stage shows, I've done annual day, I've done choir singing, I've done. And there used to be somebody visiting the school. Has to be the group which will go and rehearse and do a small play. but that was school drama. And I always believe a school drama is different, but when you come to professional theater, it's much different. So started involving in theater in my MBA. So I used to study, and early in the morning at 4 o'clock, I used to go for rehearsal. I used to come back, and then I stayed in the hostel. So IIT Madras, for people who are not aware, is one of India's largest reserve park for what is called the black buck. It's a forest. So I have seen pythons eating rats. I've seen pythons coiling and sleeping, deers early in the morning at 4 o'clock. And that's a campus that I was beautifully spending time for 2 years and loving, in between nature, in between theater, and in between, of course, studying. And then the life started. And then while working, I used to juggle all these three things. And I moved to Bangalore, which I call my butterfly time, because Bangalore is my city where I started completely immersing in theater, immersing in conservation and social work, but still studying and working. So I started working, and while working, I continued doing all this. So I used to get up at 4 5. I used to go into rescue and then help organizations because Bangalore is a city of monkeys, a lot of urban wildlife. And then evening, I used to go rehearse. I used to do many things, and all that put together, I started my theater group along with others, with a few other good friends called Tahato. And I worked with a wildlife organization called WRRC, and I went on to be a part of the first job giving week, and three different streams. But then very difficult, right? When you have to juggle between job, and then you have to juggle between your interest. Where do you draw the line? And that's when, as a theater maker or a theater practitioner, for me to look at what form of theater do I take it forward. And that's when storytelling as a performing art came into place. And with storytelling, I discovered this beautiful, what do you call, connect the dots between conservation, where I talk about flora, fauna, and bring in arts of performing, because having trained in theater for about 15, 20 years in different ways, right from school to college, not much, but definitely my postgrad, I was involved. And then coming into the mainstream theater in Bangalore. And that became the form that I connect. And with storytelling, um, slowly I did put a seed for about 4 5 years as a performance artist. And 3 years back, I moved full time. And today I am just a storyteller. And theater is where I perform. Theater, the form of theater I specialize is storytelling. And because this country is remarkably um, beautiful with the types of stories we have, and the type of stories we people have performed. And that's where I do what's what I do today as an artist. I perform stories. If a stand-up comic stands and tells a joke, I'm a sit-down storyteller where I sit and I share. And having performed, the beauty of storytelling is there is no two times when I can tell the same story, because every time I tell it, it's different, because the audience is different, the people who are questioning is different. So I take it across. I've traveled with storytelling across, and I would personally love to travel and tell stories. But the beauty of the digital medium today is that we are connecting. Uh, but the beauty of this country is under the tree, sitting under the tree, and outdoor oxygen, and then sharing that story. That's why I somewhere believe in the classical form of storytelling, where it's unplugged and it's dil to dil. And that's where I am. And yeah, so as an artist, this has taken me to children, this has taken me to elders, it's taken me to all age groups and different forms. And I performed in different spaces, different across the country, from performance spaces to to spiritual centers, where, because stories are spiritual, and everywhere it's gone. And that's where I've traveled. And that's the story of the storyteller, the story of the artist. I pause here.
That was really an amazing startup where you started with the Vikram Betala's thing and that laugh. That was really amazing to get that. And you prove yourself being as a storyteller. You told your life in a short form just like a flowing of a river. It was so smooth and fine.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, the storytelling. It's not an easy task because you need to be creative, and you need to interact. You need to make them sit and listen to your story. How difficult was that during the starting times? Because we all start from a scratch. How did you start that from a scratch?
So for me, it's very one of the most difficult thing and the most easiest thing is to be yourself, and once that's comfortable because in theater there is a lot of learning the lines, and where I felt comfortable is what is called improv, where I don't have to learn lines, but I can create it on the go. And with that, I think it's like swimming. You need to keep swimming to get better and better, and then and you keep doing it again and again and again and again. I think, like they say, if you do 1,000 surgery, you become maybe half a doctor. So maybe after 5,000 sessions, maybe I'll be a little bit of a teller. So I think we're all learning, and it's still there. But I think the beauty of the art is doing it again and again and again. That's where I'm working on.
That's really interesting to hear about it. And when was your first storytelling session, and when did you roll into it? When was it?
I think professionally, it's about 10 years back, where it was called a storytelling session. But informally, I think I've used it in working with children who are differently abled. I mean, I used to teach maths to them. So then I remember saying there was an ant, and the ant went straight, the ant went left, and then it finished, and that is what is called a square. So I think informally I've used it as a when I was volunteering, and professionally about 10 years back.
That's really good. That's really amazing to hear about it. And you mentioned about theater artist things, and you also mentioned about your particular contribution for all the NGOs. So what now? How did you make that time? You woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and you used to go back bed as it might be late because you would be totally tired for the day. How did you manage these things, and what gave you that power?
We all have a passion. I mean, the beauty is, I think this country is so beautiful that all of us, well, in school or college, we always say we love to do something. But after some time when we start working, we say we don't have time for that. I was one of those who said, I will make time for that. And my office was, of course, uh, I mean, I never wanted to do night shift. I mean, but then, I mean, I chose a management role. So it was 10 to 6. And then I used to plan it and we used to feed all that I love. I mean, of course, we say food is what we feed, but we have to feed in with what we love to do. So if we love to do, we will make time for it, and we should make time for it, because if we don't make time for it, we are going to complain later. So instead of complaining later, if we can figure out a way, I think we will wake up in the morning. I think if we really love something, we will wake up in the morning. I mean, we will not complain. So
That's really educative. Yes, that's for sure. I would really agree to the points which you've been sharing down. And why did you become a storyteller? Because you have completed your graduation in mechanical engineering. I mean, like the safest part, yes. And you also completed your management studies in IITs. And why into the field of storytelling? What pulled you this side?
So look at it as a connecting of the dots. I mean, so I mean, if you have to say it's a change in shift, no, I still use my management, because today what I do for myself is called personal branding. So instead of marketing, so I was I was in a senior position in marketing in SAP. So I sort of, so instead of marketing a product, today I market myself. And storytelling is, as an art form, it also needs something what today in art, a lot of what's called arts management. So I bring in that sort of a management to that. So what I studied is not gone, is taken me to the next level. It doesn't mean you have to be in the same field, but definitely it helps. So storytelling is, so I use my skills. So I'm not going away from my skills. I'm still using my skills.
Yes, yes, for sure. That the using the skills will surely get into the particular success stuff where you're standing right here today. But what is actually happening to this Indian society where we're not getting into this artistic form? To be frank, I don't know how bold your dad thought to get into one of your brother to get into tennis field and you into the stories field. They're all open type. Why isn't this happening? Is that arts being backward, or we're not giving much our time to it, or how is it? How is it?
Arts is a very big stream. So the beauty of arts is it doesn't have to be a profession for everybody, including sports. So for some, it might turn out to be a profession, but I think we should have it with we all have it in us. We all have a sports person in us. We have an artist in us. We all love to paint. We love to sing. We love to dance. Some of us take it to the next level to be a professional singer or a professional dancer, but it's still there within us. So I think as a society, we don't have to look at it professionally also. Not everybody has to look at it professionally. So but then art and sports is needed for our physical fitness and a mental fitness. I mean, arts gives us a lot of what we call today mental health in terms of that. So for some, there is a system to make it professional. For some, you should, it's like what we call extracurricular. So don't let it, instead of calling it extracurricular, call it intracurricular, where you make time for that. And today it's so all the more important that we bring in into our lifestyle, because the so-called office spaces are not designed to give us that health. So we need to come out and find this inside us. And if you can make it into your life, well and good. If not, continue doing it. So never say that I used to do this in college. Then you're just complaining. I mean, today we have choices. Today we have all the choice in the world to do and not to do. Today we have so many, nothing else. Just open the app and sure there are apps which updates us on a cricket match score or whatever it is. So we can still be updated with it. But never say that I used to. The moment you say I used to, you're all somewhere not living a life.
For sure. That is an like important stuff where we have to put down. And you mentioned that extracurricular should be turned into intracurricular. I want this to be heard by all the schools and get into this where we have to change the timetables and stuff. Get into intracurricular activities. So this has been why is this happening in every school life? Because extra curriculum, is it like the arts field is being negativity, or we're not gonna make good money in that, or it's gonna not be successful? Why does everybody think that's way?
It's changing, but it's like this. I mean, I'm sure if you go into a school and ask a child which is the period that we look forward to, the moment the child is going to say either sports or arts, because the only thing common between these two is because they're not being judgmental. There is no exam, and we love to be liberated. And Indian culture is arts related. You look at our festivals, we look at how we wear our dressing, we wear our clothes. There is art all around us. The system that we are fed into is a Western curriculum. But if you look at it from our cultural perspective, there are schools which are feeding in, but it's a larger spectrum. I think it's a change that started. The change that we're looking for, it may take some more years because we've stopped it. We've looked into our curriculum, and but if we can mix curriculum with extracurricular, why not? Why can't we learn physics like time and distance by playing football, the distance between two goalposts, and then look at the football and look at it as circumference and radius and sphere. So that sort of integration will celebrate subjects, because today we learn and then we try to understand it later. But instead of that, if we integrate it, we'll have a joy of learning. There is no joy to learn.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you mentioned, practical education is not been happening in the schools. That's a right point. And coming back to you, where you have watched your first drama show or the theater show in Chennai, if I'm not wrong. What was that show about, and what inspired you to go for another show after that?
So the play was called Nagamandala, and it's a Girish Karnad written play. And what inspired me definitely was then what makes it simpler, because the language was English, and you could connect to it. I mean, because today a lot of arts, for example, doesn't connect to the audience. I mean, it's lost in translation, or it could be Hindustani music, Carnatic music. There are people who are performing it, but as an audience, I'm not. I mean, for me to connect to it was not there. But this, for me, I understood the form. It was a language that I understood, and it was professional theater. And when I understood it, that's when for me the thing was saying, wow, I mean, at least not as a performer, but as an audience, the joy of understanding. I mean, the joy of connecting. and that for me was fulfilling. And then to watch the next one, it was in a simple English. It was not in the British English. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of times in school we are used to a certain accent of English, or this what do you call the Western text. But no, India has a lot of English writers. Today we are filled with a lot of contemporary English and a lot of Indian theatre writers. And we are local. We are born here. We are very local people. I think end of the day we like our idli sambar more than we'll say pasta. We'll say.
Pizza.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we need our idli vada dosa, because that is so. Even it's English, we like to have a local English flavor. That for me was the connect.
That's good. That's really where we shouldn't leave our particular back steps. We should follow them, because it might be we're standing in someone's footstool a few times. This happens. And watching to that first show, you went on, and when did you enter Bangalore? The whole city of arts. It's actually exposure. When did you enter to Bangalore, and how was your career made done?
So I moved from. I mean, I went to Bangalore as part of my work. I mean, my first job was in Bangalore, and I still remember I entered Bangalore without having a place to stay. So I got on from the railway station. I was only told that you'll have a space to stay. I mean, there are a lot of hotels, and then you just go there, you negotiate. And having landed there, once I set foot of my space, I did search for art spaces. I mean, I wanted to understand the scene, because theatre in India is very different from city to city. Bombay to Delhi to Chennai to Bangalore is so different. And but Bangalore has the beauty of having what is called it's called Rangashankara. It's one of
Yes.
it's yeah, 365 days theater except Mondays, and just to go watch. So to go watch, I think everybody has to. I mean, to should experience as an audience. I mean, in any art form, I think as an audience we can do. And then I started watching, and then when I wrote to all the directors. I wrote to a couple of them saying, I met them and said, if there is something I can do, please let me know. And this was, I think, about 15, 17 years back, when there was no online promotion. We used to take posters, not even posters, huge wooden planks, and carry it on the head and go and promote. So that is theater for me. Acting is not theater. Acting is the last thing in theater. There are other things in theater. The thing of backstage, front stage, ticketing, ushering, um, putting the lights on, putting the lights off, and those are the things. So I've done that with many theater groups. I used to just go and volunteer, because a lot of them need volunteer, because theater doesn't have the financial backup like any other form. So and they're always looking for volunteers to come and serve. And I love, I mean, learning. I mean, that was what you say, what do you call free learning, when you go and volunteer and this thing. So every day, and especially weekends, when it's completely, when there is a show, I used to spend time with them after the show and then learn from them. And then the aspiration of saying that what is it to be the, because some of them did also have similar background. They've come from a very prestigious institute, but then moved into a theater life, saying, I don't want to climb up the ladder, I want to go slow. But then just to hear those voices. So that's where my theater started, by watching and by volunteering with many theater groups. And in that part, I also acted in a couple of plays. I mean, acting did happen, but what I definitely, the 360 degrees of theater is what I've experienced. I mean, the joy of doing that.
That's really amazing. That's really amazing. From watching plays in Rangashankara and till to the building of a new theater group, the journey was so struggling. I know it would be so tough to build one particular group or a troupe to get into on stage. Were you trained on circumstance where on the acting basis or something to get into the theater before?
So depending on the role I was trained, I mean, whatever I've acted. So every time I've acted, I mean, I've been going training, and my training is also not in terms of just going and acting, but also in other forms of art. So I've attended multiple workshops. It could be Kudiyatam, it could even be classical forms like Odissi, Bharatanatyam, but not in a terms of a larger experience, but these workshops which gives you the body, work of the body. So as a body, I've done workshops with different folk arts, different traditional forms from India, like Devaratam. And now the last few years, I've been learning uh, the folk singing of Karnataka. it's called Yalamanata. So I've been learning from Shilpa. So the idea of using the voice, I mean, training the voice, which is very important. So, and with that, and then that's the training that I believed in. And then I used to go, like there's Adi Shakti. So I used to go there and then spend about 10, 15 days learning with a particular master. So these kinds of training, I mean, in what we call very just surrendering, because I mean, I don't come from an arts family. So for me to even discover it on the go, so for me, I give this time this. And with now with storytelling, they all come in together. I mean, it
Yes,
connects the
yes.
dots. Yeah.
I have a very I'm not able to stop this thing.
Uh,
How many arts do you know? And can you list them
I,
out?
I don't know any arts. I mean, I mean, I would say
Okay.
I'm trying to
How
be
many
a,
are you still learning? Like in the process.
voice is something that I believe in. It's called Naga, which is the voice. So in terms of that, I mean, folk, I mean, right now, I mean, till the pandemic started, definitely did learn the folk songs of Karnataka, which especially in the North Karnataka. But then because we used to sing in Kaban Park, so every day at Kaban Park is when that used to happen. And I think about 3 years, yeah, about 3 years, 2017 we started. Yeah, it's been there, but with the pandemic, it stopped. So that gave a lot of insights into my search in folk, because one is learning, second is also the search of that. So in that I have an interest in bowl music. I listen to a lot of bowl. I once or twice I've gone and learned from a bowl teacher. And so I'm saying it's only this dot, but then the search for me was larger. So I then do that. And I listen to a lot of Kabir songs. So I learn, uh, the self-learning is also a large. I mean, it's sometimes you have a guru, sometimes it becomes virtual guru, and then you learn from that. So, so that way. Then as a physical body, yes, I mean, I have my own riyas, but otherwise, voice is something that I really go deeper into, because it's called Nada Yoga. Because we have the yoga of the body, but the voice is also today's time. It's a very spiritual force. So voice is something that, and we have lost the idea of voice. I mean, even in homes and even in schools, a lot of times it becomes visual. But this is a very therapeutic thing, the voice.
That's really new to hear. I'm really learning those new words and new symptoms. All this, I doubt all this are Indian cultures or something, because we were never shown all this and we were never explored all this in school days or
Our
college days.
lullabies. I mean, just take a lullabies. How we think lullabies are so strong to put us to sleep, which is nothing but therapy. I mean, just so that's the power of the voice. I mean, no two voices in India. So if you pick the phone and say hello, we can recognize them, right? So
Yes,
that's the power of the voice. So there is physical body and there is this voice, and the voice is very, 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 very beautiful. I mean, it's from silence is also important as much as how do we use that, especially speakers. I mean, like what are you doing? The voice is the investment. How do you take care of it? How do
yes.
you speak in such a way that you don't hurt yourself? All that.
That's really good. That's really educative for me for this time. And there's a quote mentioned in your particular bio saying that classical performer. What is that? I want to know about
So
it.
storytelling in today's time is a very broad term. I mean, because a lot of people, when you say storytelling, they either think, oh, you're doing kindergarten education, or you're doing it as an open mic. So I'm neither an open mic artist. I'm not an educator. I'm not a teacher. When you say classical, it means the olden times storyteller who says stories, of who performs stories under the tree. If you've seen, for example, Tamasha, some of us would have seen, where you see Ranbir Kapoor going to a storyteller under a tree. That's the storyteller where my stories I tell is classical, which could be folk tales, which could be from a myths, could be about a history, heritage. Those are the stories. So it's not my personal stories. It's about what has come from generations to us. But today we lose them in what we call children's literature. If you go to a bookstore, for some of us will find these Jataka tales, Panchatantra, all that in children's section. But these are not simple text, because Jataka is Buddhism. Entire Buddhism is from Jataka. And same thing with folk tales and folklore. And a lot of it, I mean, a lot of it could be history, but then how do you tell the history in a more storied way instead of facts? So it's taking that stories to the next generation and to give it to the adults, as much as saying that it's not a children's property. It's everybody has a certain strength to it.
Yes, yes, yes. That's really interesting to hear about this particular classical performing skills. And you were a setup. You were a package of all the art stream. I absolutely say that. You were totally filled with all the body parts perfectly within. See, it's kind of creative where persons, because none of them or most of them don't like to learn few things. They just try to go with the flow, go for an engineering job, go for an IT sector, finish and settle. So but there are very few people here trying to learn arts, where that also gives a peace of mind for everybody, and that is an amazing thing. How is the time for the artist during COVID?
It's definitely not easy. I mean, I would definitely come from where I say I'm definitely blessed and privileged. But like any other person in any other stream, it is tough, especially people are used to space performing in big spaces and who don't have access to technology. And the artists who have access to technology are the ones who are doing well. And it's what we call, yeah, that's when I say privilege and the Wi-Fi people. So because if you're not connected to technology, then it's very tough because well, there is city-based contemporary artists like me, but whereas there are traditional artists in the villages and all, the urban artists are surviving because embracing the technology. But there are lots can't who are not able to embrace technology, and also which art, like if you're, I mean, with technology you can use half your body, but if you're somebody who is a movement artist, then it becomes difficult to use space. So everybody, it's embracing the technology, so it's easy, but definitely, I mean, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not easy, but you have to adapt to it, and it's changing. I mean, I would have loved, I mean, I entered theater, I mean, I entered storytelling and made it full time, saying I don't want to spend time in a laptop. I mean, that's where I started. I want to see real people, I want to travel, I want to touch and feel. And I've always, of course, I mean, I know how to market it online because I know the area of social media marketing, but then this is the time we have to embrace it, because the beauty is everybody is at home, the children, the adults, and you are touching somebody somewhere. So that's definitely what an artist role is, because artists are healers. So it's not about me, but I'm sure that everybody is watching it also in the same space. So if they are in different spaces, okay, but they are on the other end. So that way it's interesting times at now. So
That's really amazing. That's really amazing, and I wish the pandemic goes back as soon as possible and get all the life for the particular creative or the best artist. Because as you mentioned, we're all civilized and we're all Wi-Fi people right here. We know how to get into and how to grab and corporate if it is something online. But when it goes to Mangalore, the Bhutha or Yakshagana, these are all these off-word screams are done in streets in the dark places only for the village people. These people are having a lot of tough time. I say that because their profession is meant to be into arts, so they're having a lot of problem. I wish all this comes to
for them
end.
it's not profession, it's life. I mean, we are, for because in city people we have something called profession, for they breathe that. So it's a day to day.
Yes, yes. They breathe, laugh. They breathe, laugh, claps. This is their fulfill things. And to start a storytelling for a very basic level, how do you tell them, or how do you suggest what should I do from the start?
Very basic thing is just tell. I mean, the easiest thing is it's like swimming. So you have to swim. So tell, find your audience and tell. That's all. I mean, the audience could be, if it was just if it was open, I would have said just go to a government school which is in your area and just go tell a story. That's the toughest and the easiest thing. Because the audience will tell you, give you the reaction. If they like you, they will love you. If they hate you, they'll also tell you they don't like it. So
Yes.
that, because this is one form in which how much ever you rehearse, you still have an audience. Digitally, you can record it. I mean, that's not storytelling. That is what you call. That's like an acting, because unless your audience isn't right in front of you, that's when storytelling gets life. Otherwise, it's like, I mean, it's a pre-recorded thing. So that's a voiceover podcast. So find an audience and just go tell. I mean, and then you'll get better at it. I mean, there's no structure. The easiest thing is just jump into the water and you will swim. How much ever you think of breaststroke, butterfly stroke, once you put it in the water. So find an audience, then once you do it, they will give, I mean, you'll see the reaction, and that gets better.
For sure, for sure. I hope all the attendees out there who's watching, like they'll do that thing. And if not a storytelling profession, where would you be today?
I would have still been doing definitely conservation theater. I would have still continued doing mentors. I would have continued working. I mean, because work is also has given me my energy. I mean, of course, because finance is very important in today's times. We can't say that passion is only important, because even to talk, even to pay our internet bills, we have to be financially sound. So I would have continued working in a space which I would have enjoyed. I mean, definitely. I mean, uh, and then I would have done many more things. I would have just done other things to fill my energy bucket, because if you don't fill your energy bucket, we're definitely dead. We have to fill our energy bucket.
And being a theater artist, why isn't the theater, or for an example, Ranga Shankara or method acting skills and all this, are not being as famous as a film? Because see, when there's a film, there's a full doom dham, the hero comes up, and there's the celebration outside the theaters. Why isn't Rangabhumi coming into this platforms?
That one is because as a culture, don't go as a family to watch drama. We only go to films to watch. So as a mindset, it's uh, it's like, what do you say? If you eat idli while growing up, you love idli. If you eat chapati while growing up, you love chapati. And second is because drama is also, it's live, and there are only certain, you can't play it to 1,000 audience. I mean, there is a restriction in that. So cinema has a charm of you have to do only once, and then there is repeat show. Oh, Rangabhumi, you can't have a repeat show. You can have maybe 10 repeat show, 100 repeat show, but 1,000. So there is a limit to it. But as an audience, I think it's a culture to go and embrace it at the earliest. And every culture which has done it will appreciate. I mean, there is some what is called the mobile theater in Assam, which people go in families to watch the drama, and that will have an impact when you grow up. Cinemas occupied our childhood days, and that still remains, because it's a digital medium and everything is digital now. Because to be real is, as an audience, also is very tough, because in movies you can pause it, watch again. So there are a lot of, it's a very, it's in that way the most modern drama. I mean, what is it? The modern marriage of technology and art, and we will embrace it, but we'll have to understand that drama will not be embraced by a lot of people. But the sensitivity should come a little early. That's all. I mean, if it's come in some schools, it's wonderful. I think there are organizations. I still remember, I think Speak My K does a lot of beautiful work in appreciating arts. And I remember watching that, I still remember a Manipuri dance form, many Marathi dance form, or movement artists watching it in school. So even if you don't have to do it, I think that art appreciation as culture should be ingrained. Like, as much as we know, I think we have a fancy to French, Italian, German in school. We should also appreciate, if you're in Bangalore, Kannada, Konkani, Tamil, your neighboring language. It's in a similar thing. We should embrace our neighbors and then go outside. So that's what.
Yes, yes, for sure. I would really agree with all the terms which have been spoken down, and that was really an amazing thought about you. Where do your parents find for getting into this profession?
I mean, and that way also I'm blessed. I mean, my parents in that way never asked why, what, and but it's my responsibility that I should make them comfortable, which I did. I mean, I didn't one day say that I'm going to quit everything and go. I led it step by step by step. I mean, I worked for about 12 years. I led my foundation, and then moved out. When I moved out, I was very sure that I will give it 1 year time and see how it goes, because I was in a very senior role and when I moved up to, we can balance that lifestyle, that need. And today it's not, I haven't looked back. So I think it's a responsibility that we have to keep our parents in comfort. We can't just say that, "No, I'm going to just start something," because all that they want us to be is safe. I mean, that safety is something that we need to take.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to know your most proudest moment till date.
Proudest moment till date. There are many moments. I think I live by the day, so I wouldn't measure it by saying this
One of
is
the
proud.
best.
Um, One of the best. I mean, I think it happened recently when this was in Gujarat. This was in a step well, which is near in Ahmedabad. Stepwell is an ancient form of, it's not a temple, but it's Stepwell is where a lot of cultural activity used to happen. And this is near Ahmedabad, and this was sort of renovated, and there were a lot of activities happening there. So this was a session where I was doing for school children who would come there in the Stepwell. Stepwell is about 600 years old. I'm talking about 500, 600 years old, which is very heritage. And we had gone and invited the local school. So, and when the local school children came, they said they've never sat in this well. This is people in that vicinity who have been there because they always thought the stepwell had one is ghost and the stigma that you can't enter a stepwell. But the goosebump that local people bringing them into that space, which for them was no, was beautiful. And these are children who spoke Gujarati, but then somebody who's born, brought up in South India, whose Hindi is not very fluent, but then connecting with them and seeing them laugh is one of the beautiful, it's a wonderful moment.
That's more the satisfying part too.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. One of your embarrassing moment during the theater, because every theater artist, including me, would have faced one of those embarrassing moment. What was your embarrassing moment?
So I mean, many ones. I remember I was supposed to do backstage, and I was supposed to ring the bell. And this was in Rangi Shankar, I remember. Instead of ringing the bell, I shook the curtain, and the curtain moved, and the light. It was supposed to be a dark scene, and there was supposed to be. So that's that. I just moved the curtain, and the actor fell back.
Oh,
So there was a bell. So instead of ringing the bell, I shook the curtain. I thought I just mixed up the ringing bell scene versus the curtain shaking scene. So I thought instead of the bell, I shook the curtain, and the actor was leaning to the curtain, actually fell off. So that was one embarrassing moment. And well, acting many. I mean, I've just forgotten. I mean, this was I think in a I've just forgotten lines. I mean, I've just frozen ones. I mean, then I skipped, and then the actor continued. Many such times. I mean, the worst thing is not you freezing; your legs won't move. That's the most toughest part.
and one note for all the artists, storytellers, classical performers, theater artists, from your side in a storytelling way. I want it to be so creative. Like, don't worry, code is gonna be fine. From your side.
I'm going to tell this. This is a story I read. I mean, so once there was a curse by I think Vishnu to the entire farmers that there will not be any rain for the next 12 years, and there's going to be because there was the farmers didn't pray to Vishnu, so they were extremely angry at them. So Vishnu cursed them, saying there won't be rain, and he went and informed Shiva also. And Shiva also said, okay, done. I will not give, I mean, I will make sure they don't get rain. And of course, Varuna was informed, everybody was informed, and they were all clear. And there was no rain. And there was one farmer alone who was digging the ground. And the people said, what's wrong with you? It's not going to rain for 12 years. I mean, it's drought. Let's move to some other land. And he said, but it's okay. I mean, I'm just making sure that I don't forget how to plow. And Parvati was watching this. And when Parvati was watching this, she went to Shiva and said, you know what? If that farmer is doing something which so that he doesn't forget how to plow, what about your damaru? And what if you forget to play the damaru in the 12 years? And Shiva said, no, I know it. I mean, I know how to play. It's there in my blood. And Parvati said, are you sure? Just show me how you play it. And Shiva took the damaru and started playing the damaru. And the indication for rain is always the damaru playing of Shiva. And once Shiva played the damaru, the rain started coming and all the farmers started plowing. And the same line for us today is saying that we definitely don't know when the rain is going to come again, but we continue to practice how we plow. And each of us, I mean, whatever art we are, the beauty is we continue to practice it for ourselves. And when we give it, there is somebody that we are healing and somebody we are watching. And we continue to do that. We can't wait for the rain to come. We continue doing, we continue practicing. And there is so much of, I think, the world is much larger and we are also such a small dot. But all that we can do is continue doing what we do in our own way and contributing it to the larger. In whatever form.
That was really an amazing storytelling session. I am really impressed. I'm satisfied about. To be frank, I had a very good. I was involved in your talk, as you said. They have to connect. You really connected to the everybody today. To be frank, to
Thank
be
you.
really frank,
Thank
that
you.
was really amazing. And now we come to the surprise session of this webinar. Would be rapid fire question. Okay, let's
Go.
start. Whatever question you I ask, it should be an 1 second answer, and it should be fast, very fast.
Okay, I'll try.
Three, two, one. Weapon of choice.
Sleep.
Morning or night person.
Morning.
Last thing you liked on social media.
Uh, Wait. Last thing I like on social media, people only liking and commenting, but there's no action on it. People don't. I mean, only being on social media. Be real.
Okay. Last person you went on a dinner with.
It was in Bangalore. I mean, there's a friend that I met before boarding the bus to Chennai, and that was the last dinner I
Define happiness.
had. Right now, this
Yeah.
moment.
Leader or follower.
Follow, I think, because we follow and then let somebody else call us a leader. We should never call ourselves a leader.
Favorite place to hide out.
Whereas we used to hide out. Bed.
You're a dog or cat person.
Dog.
Hot or cold.
You. Both.
Wet or dry.
Depends. On the both.
Last time you laughed very hard out.
Yesterday.
Um, your greatest achievement.
Yet to come.
Favorite memory.
Many.
What do you say about getting old?
Your youngest story for the rest of your life.
4 things you would never change about yourself.
Four things. It'll be the same. I mean, being myself, and the other three will be same as above.
Okay. Money, laugh, life, and love. Which one would you
Repeat.
choose?
Repeat.
Money, laugh, life, and love. Which one would you choose?
I think life, because if you have life, you'll get all the other three.
That's an amazing answer. I was expecting this. And one person who would you like to take to Mars?
But I'll go first check it myself and then I'll come back and then say,
What motivates you?
breath, the gift of life.
Okay, one last question. Quality of life or quantity of life? Why?
If you have quality, quantity will come. If you have quantity, quality might not come.
That's really an amazing thing. I really enjoy the session, and it's really good to have a conversation with you. I thank from behalf from our Planetech Media House to have you on a particular platform. We're really glad to have you here. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, pleasure. Thank you and all the best to you. And thanks for the platform and hope you fly in the way that you want to.
Yes. Thank you so much. We'll be signing out. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.